Welcome back to the mega review series of the Jurassic Park franchise. Today, we are going to look at The Lost World, aka Jurassic Park 2. Is this the worst movie of the franchise, or does that prize go to the third installment? Well, let me ask you this. Let's say that you were trapped inside an elevator with a stranger. Would you rather that stranger be someone that is so irritating that you just want to shoot them in the face? Or someone that is so boring that you want to shoot yourself in the face? Personally, I would rather be stuck with the irritating person, because at least with them, there's a chance that you might accidentally be entertained once or twice, whereas with the boring person, there's no hope of that. Well, that's kind of like comparing The Lost World to Jurassic Park 3 and asking which one is worse. Lost World is more annoying with obnoxious characters, but it can still kind of be fun at times if you turn off your brain. While Jurassic Park 3 is just relentlessly boring. It's like being beaten with a bag of oranges. But that's just me. Whether we consider Lost World to be the worst or not, let's talk about it. Since the events of the first movie, those events, as well as John Hammond's newfound environmentalism, have pretty much squashed any hopes for building a Jurassic Park. And Hammond has learned his lesson and is doing everything that he can to stop his company trying to build a new park. That is until John Hammond dies before the upcoming Jurassic World, so they just go ahead and build the park anyway because he's dead, he can't stop them. But hey, they did build him a nice statue, so there's that. Actually, come to think of it, that's kind of like spitting on his grave, isn't it? You build a statue for the guy at the facility that he spent the last years of his life doing everything in his power to try and stop being built? I don't think Hammond would really approve of that. That's kind of like building a statue of Nelson Mandela in the middle of Nazi Germany. It kind of conflicts with his values. But anyway, Hammond's company InGen has pushed him out so that they can cash in on the dinosaurs to bail the company out. But where will they get these dinosaurs from? Site B.
Site B.
Island Nubla was just a showroom, something for the tourists. Site B was the factory floor. That was on Aina Sauna, 80 miles from Nubla. We bred the animals there and nurtured them for a few months and then moved them into the park. And by now we have a complete ecological system on the island with dozens of species living in their own social groups without fences, without boundaries, without constraining technology.
Now here's something that's easy to overlook. In the first movie, it was mentioned that they had a lysine contingency.
The lysine contingency is intended to prevent the spread of the animals in case they ever get off the island. Dr. Wu inserted a gene that creates a single faulty enzyme in protein metabolism. The animals can't manufacture the amino acid lysine. Unless they're completely supplied with lysine by us, they slip into a coma and die.
Now, in the book, the island gets blown up by the Costa Rican Air Force, killing all the dinosaurs. In the movie, however, that never happened. So since no one ever mentions the first island again in this movie or the next movie, I guess we can just assume that all the dinosaurs from the first island died from lysine deficiency. However, concept art for Jurassic World shows the original T-Rex from the first movie because it has scars on its neck where the raptor attacked it, which seems to suggest that they did survive on Site A without lysine. Perhaps in the same way that the dinosaurs on Site B did.
I figured out how the animals survive without lysine.
I don't care.
If you look at the diets of the herbivore species that are thriving, they eat mostly agama beans, soy, anything lysine rich. And the carnivores, well, they eat the herbivores.
So in other words, the plants have lysine in them. Yeah. You thought the scientists not knowing that frog DNA could allow the dinosaurs to change gender in order to breed was a big oversight? Well, how about this? They go to all the trouble of engineering them with lysine deficiency without noticing that almost every plant on the island already has lysine in it. So the question then is, if the dinosaurs on the first island had been able to survive without lysine, as this concept art suggests, in the same way that they did on Site B, then how come no one ever mentioned them? There's a lot of talk in this and the next movie about the need to quarantine Site B, but what about Site A? I believe that in Jurassic World, they're not going to explain any of this at all. And I guess it doesn't really matter, because it's only people like me who complain about it. But when you see Jurassic World, just keep your ear out for any mention of lysine, or what happened to the dinosaurs on the first island, after the first movie. But anyway, back to the plot. Hammond wants to keep Site B contained, so here enters Peter Ludlow, which is Hammond's sniveling nephew who wants to exploit Site B. Each of them have their own team of guys sent to their island for different reasons, and voila, we have our movie. And this is a script that was pitched to Spielberg as Hunters versus Gatherers, which is an idea that in and of itself is actually really great, and there's a lot you could do with it. But the devil is in the details. As Nostalgia Critic said in his review, they obviously want us to cheer for the Gatherers, Jeff Goldblum, his team, but pretty much everybody who dies on this island is directly their fault. I'm going to cover which is the stupidest character in the movie in the next part. But just like with the first movie, Spielberg changed the ending pretty much at the last minute. Whereas in the first movie, he went from Hammond showing up to shoot the raptors and save the day to the T-Rex showing up to save the day. He changed the ending of The Lost World too, only this time, I think it made the movie much worse. Originally, the movie was going to end on the island, on Site B. There was going to be a scene where they have to climb down a cliff in order to get to the research center so that they can call for help, which they do mention in the movie.
The operations building is right down in there, about 1.5 miles from the base of these cliffs.
How do you know that?
I've seen it. Now, the climb down won't be easy.
And while they were climbing down, they were going to be attacked by pterodactyls. Could you imagine that? Just clinging to a cliff face with all your strength, and these monstrous things are just swooping down and plucking people off the walls all around you. That would be terrifying. There was also going to be some characters that had paraglide packs, but instead of parachutes coming out, they were like gliding wings that would come out of their backpacks. So these guys were going to be running away from the raptors through the fields, and they were going to escape them by jumping off the cliff and using their gliders, only to then have to do aerial battle with the pterodactyls. That would have been awesome to see. But sadly, we didn't get any of that cool stuff. Instead, we got more raptor stuff that we already saw in the last movie and done much better. And we have the T-Rex becoming Godzilla. It's so stupid. You know, it's interesting that Spielberg went with the whole Godzilla route for the ending, because that seems to be a theme throughout his career. In Duel, the first movie that he ever made, when the truck crashes at the end, he mixed in a Godzilla roar to the crashing sound, kind of to show that like the monster had been slain. Then, off the back of that, he went and made Jaws, and he did a similar thing when the shark died, mixed in a Godzilla roar. Now, here in The Lost World, the Godzilla obsession has come full circle. I say that we finally let Spielberg make the movie that he has obviously wanted to make for most of his career. Boot what's-his-face out of the next Godzilla movie and get Spielberg. You know, he knows how to make a monster movie, he's professional, he knows how to please an audience, and he'll make it actually fun with real characters. Hashtag Spielberg Godzilla. Speaking of characters, there's a lot of dumb ones in this movie, but who's the dumbest? Let's find out. So, Vaughn plays a photographer and Greenpeace warrior, and to be honest, I do like the way that he plays this guy. It's not just Vince Vaughn being the fast-talking con man with a heart of gold that he always plays in every other movie he does. He's actually doing some real acting here. And for me, it's Vince Vaughn's more serious roles, like this guy, or the guy he plays in Into the Wild, that is his best work. But thanks to the script, this character is forced to do some really dumb stuff. Firstly, he lets all the captured dinosaurs out of their cages, who no doubt go trampling and killing at least 25 different hunters, as well as smashing up their radio equipment so they can't call for help. Then he takes the injured baby T-Rex back to their camp, which leads to one of the gatherers being ripped in half, and the trucks being destroyed, taking with them the only other working radio on the island. Finally, in his most heinous crime, even though the hunters have done nothing but try to help them, he steals their bullets so that they can't shoot the T-Rex when he attacks their camp, probably killing about another 20 or 30 people on the island. Thanks, Vince Vaughn. Gee, you're a real hero, mate. But the dumbness is not just contained to the human characters, but the dinosaurs as well, particularly the raptors. They've gone from being super smart in the first movie to extraordinarily dumb in this one, even to the point of being dumber than their own animalistic instincts. No predator would waste so many easy chances to catch prey. In fact, let's count all the times that the raptor could have easily caught them, but its own dumbness got in the way. Number 1, attacks the bag instead of attacking her. Number 2, pauses before jumping on Malcolm even though he's only a few feet away. 3, pauses again here. 4, and again here. 5, and again here. Come on! Look how close he is! You could sneeze on him! Number 6, he could easily fit through this car window if he wanted to. 7, pauses again on the walkway. 8, turns to look at a girl when she says, "Hey you." 9, he doesn't think to duck or to dodge the kick or just pounce on this girl that's coming at him, even though he has more than enough time to do it. And then 10, the raptors conveniently start fighting with each other even though their prey is only a few feet away. They practically roll right over the top of it. Man, the raptors are supposed to be smart. You know, the raptors in the first movie were so scary because they were lethal. If you let them close the distance on you, you are finished. The kids managed to escape them in like clever ways, tricking them with the reflections, luring them into the freezer so they slip over, and even then they just barely got away. But here, they don't get away through any clever tricks of their own, it's just through dumb luck and the fact that the raptors have suddenly become really stupid. But despite all this, the dumbest prize award has to go to Sarah Harding, played by Julianne Moore. And that's a shame because I like Julianne Moore. Yeah, surprisingly, it's not Jeff Goldblum. When you add them all up, Jeff Goldblum doesn't do anywhere near as much dumb stuff as the other characters. So yeah, it's Sarah Hardy that is way out in front of winning the dumbest prize award. So much so that I actually tried to find out if maybe the screenwriter had gone through like a divorce when he was writing this, and that's why the main female character is written as such an idiot. Kind of like what happened with Kate Capshaw in Temple of Doom, because George Lucas had gone through a divorce, so that's why she was written terribly. But no, Sarah Harding here is just written awful. How awful? Well, let's find out. Her dumbness begins before we even see her in the movie at all. Firstly, she thinks it's a great idea to go to this island filled with dinosaurs, completely alone, with no weapons or tranquilizers to protect yourself, and once there, she turns off her satellite phone so that nobody can contact her. And Jeff Goldblum and the rest of the team have to rush there because they think she could be dead because they can't reach her. Why would anybody do that? When you're alone on an island filled with dangerous dinosaurs, that's not the time to turn your phone off. And despite us being told repeatedly that she is a professional and has worked around dangerous animals in the wild for many years,
She spent years studying African predators, sleeping downwind and all. She knows what she's doing.
she makes rookie mistakes that even I know you shouldn't do, like patting a baby stegosaurus while you're a stone's throw away from the parents. You don't need to be Crocodile Dundee to know that animals can get really aggressive if you mess with their kids. And immediately after she almost gets killed because of this, she goes off talking about how much of a professional she is.
Don't treat me like I'm a grad student. I've worked around predators since I was 20 years old. Lions, jackals, hyenas, you.
She knows what she's doing.
And she gives a long lecture to the other team members that they can't wear colognes or deodorants because that might mess with the animal sense, but apparently patting dinosaurs and rubbing your human scent all over their faces is okay. It's a pattern for her in this movie. She gives a speech about how you shouldn't do something, and then she turns around, she does that exact thing. She yells at Vince Vaughn for taking the baby T-Rex.
Are you out of your mind?
He's got a broken leg. Let's get in the car before they hear
Are
it.
you out of your mind? Do you have any idea what that is?
Come on, open the door.
And then she takes the baby T-Rex. She says that the T-Rex has a really great sense of smell and will probably track them over a long distance.
No, you're wrong there, Dr. Harding. We'll lose them once we leave their territory.
No, don't bet on it. Tyrannosaurus got the largest proportional olfactory cavity of any creature in the fossil record with the exception of one.
And then she continues to wear a shirt that is completely drenched in baby T-Rex blood and actually hangs it above her and the kid in the tent just to make sure that as much smell catches as much air as is possible, I guess. What an idiot! All while she is constantly saying how smart she is. I don't know, look, if the story needs people to make dumb decisions to have certain scenes take place, fair enough. But why not have the bad guy be the one to do all those dumb things? That way we're happy to see him die. Maybe if he took the blood-soaked clothes with them and that's why the Rex came, or maybe he accidentally blew up the store of bullets that they were using, why do the good guys have to be the ones that make all the dumb choices? It really makes it difficult for us to cheer for them. This is the reason why a lot of people hate this movie the most, because all these things just kind of pile up on the movie until it reaches Saturday morning cartoon logic. For me though, it does have its saving graces though, and one of the big ones is the character of Roland, played by Pete Postlethwaite. I love this dude. I would have been happy if the whole movie was just about him on this island. He's described in the script as the last of the philosopher hunters.
Remember that chap about 20 years ago, I forget his name, climbed Everest without any oxygen, came down nearly dead. And they asked him, they said, "Why did you go up there to die?" He said, "I didn't. I went up there to live."
And he's not like a solid bad guy. In many ways, he's actually kind of the hero, but he also has like a villainous streak in him as well. See, that's interesting. And at the end, you're not really sure which side of the fence he has fallen. And he just kind of disappears into the mist. What became of him? Nobody knows. That's a fitting end for the philosopher hunter. That's kind of how I'd like my story to end, And after that, ... no one knows what became of him. And then I just disappear into the mist. So at the end of the day, is it the worst of the franchise? Yes and no. But for me, this is just Spielberg's B game. We got his A game with the first movie, and this is clearly not up to par with that, but neither is it at the level of like Crystal Skull or AI. Yeah, it's passable, it's dumb, but it's still fun. It's all fun. And most importantly, it doesn't slap you in the face like the third movie does, which you can check out by either clicking here or waiting till next week when it comes out. I am Bandit, this is Bandit Incorporated. Until next time, I will see you guys in the comments.